So, have you guys heard of the COVID disaster in the Gambia? Well, if you haven't, it starts as you get off the aircraft. Welcome back to my channel. It's Renee Marcos. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and if you're new to my channel, please do me that favor and press that subscribe button. As you already know, I'm all about the Gambia, so I just felt the need that this disaster happening in the country currently is something that we need to address. So for most of us that actually want to visit the Gambia in the next coming weeks, I think it's very important that you are aware of this. This is the reason why I'm bringing this to you. So please make sure that you watch till the end. Before I actually get into this video, first of all, I would like to thank Gambian Talent TV. This TV station is doing an amazing work in the Gambia. Absolutely great. Especially Fat Samba. Fat Samba, like if you're watching this, I'm basically giving you thumbs up because you are absolutely amazing. Absolutely. You are basically educating a lot of us in the diaspora that are not aware of the issues that are going on in our country, things that are not being shown in the news. You are out there showing it to people, especially the Semester Avenue. I absolutely love it. I watch every single episode that comes out, and I know that it's a whole lot of challenges as Gambians don't actually respect a lot of their presenters. Someone is out there, a TV station is out there welcoming you home, and some of them just act like children when they see this host. If you're not interested, it's just so nice for you to actually say, sorry, maybe next time, darling, but we really appreciate the great job that you're doing. It's so nice coming home and people are welcoming you. This is just something so beautiful that we should appreciate rather than running away, hiding your face. It's just so childish. So if you're one of them that do that when you see Fat Samba, please just stop doing that. Just go up to her and say, sorry, I can't do it, but maybe next time. You're doing such a great job, and continue. She's been paid to do that, but when you're doing something, you do it with passion, you do it because you love it, and obviously you can tell that she's absolutely great at her job. I'll also leave Gambian Talent TV's link in the description box so you guys can go and watch the Semester Avenue and know exactly what I'm talking about, especially the specific video that I'll be talking about today. So we already know that tourism contributes over 20% of the Gambia's GDP to the economy, so which basically means that tourism is huge in the country, meaning that every visitor entering the country should be treated respectfully. Based on what has happened previously, watching Gambian Talent TV, I don't think the Ministry of Health has actually done something right here. But I will go through it to tell you exactly the reason why I said I do not agree with the measures that the health and safety measures that they took. It's absolutely not done. So I also understand that the Ministry of Health has put in place some health and safety measures to protect everyone coming in the country and also the people in the country, which is absolutely okay due to this crazy moment that we are in. We all know how serious COVID is. We all know the whole disaster going on around the world. So we all are aware of this. But travelers also must comply with these health and safety measures in the Gambia. Are you guys aware of it? If you're not aware of it, I think it's best before you travel, you get to find out exactly what you need before traveling right now, because it's very important, and they keep changing as well every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month. So it's very important that you always check and make sure before you travel you have all the accurate information that you need. So if you're not aware, you have to take the PCR test, which has to be valid 72 hours before you take your flight. So if you're not aware of this, please make sure that you check on your travel guide or ring the airline or tour operator just to double check whether this information applies to you as well. So people from the UK, I know 100% that you need to take the PCR test. It's expensive because I think if you want the test to come out, the certificate to come out within 24 hours, you have to pay around about 250 or 259 pounds. If you want it to come out within 72 hours, you need need to pay £149 round about that. So it's absolutely expensive. So you need to make sure that you do the right thing, because failing to provide this PCR certificate at the airport when you go to check in, they might deny you to fly. So which means that you will basically lose a lot of money. I was aware that if you did not take the PCR test once you arrive in the Gambia, you would then have to pay maybe a bit more to basically do the PCR test. But now it's a must, because the UK, you must have the PCR test before leaving the country. So I don't know how it works with other countries, but this is how it works in the UK. So moving on, once you actually arrive in the Gambia, if you are not aware of this, you do pay $20 or 20 euros entry fee. This is basically a tax, because they are basically developing the airport, so renovating the airport. So this is an exit fee and also an entry fee of $20 or 20 euro. So when you're coming in, you pay. When you're leaving as well, you pay. So please be aware of this. Moving on, what has actually happened previously, watching Gambian Talent TV, this was Fat Samba's show. So like I say, Semester Avenue is actually there to basically teach us a lot, especially what's going on in the country, you know, what tourists or visitors actually experience at the airport. This is basically key. It's very important for you. Most of you that want to travel to the Gambia, even if you're not traveling to the Gambia, but it's very important that you know exactly what's going on in your country. So a couple of days ago, an incident happened at the Banjul International Airport, because when passengers arrive, what basically happens based on passengers' explanation, you would then go through immigration to basically get your documents checked and everything, then wait for your luggage. Once you've got your luggage, you would then be checked whether you are actually safe to go home or not. But these are basically randomly selected. So it's not like, oh, they have a specific electronic or a specific device to basically say, okay, you might be at risk of having COVID, or they've monitored some kind of sickness on you, so you might basically have to quarantine. No, no, no. They basically just select people randomly based on maybe where you've basically traveled from. Maybe if you're from the UK, as UK now, they call it the hot zone. So which means that maybe because I'm from the UK, they will basically put me aside to say, I'm going to get onto the coach to basically quarantine for 2 days in a hotel, or maybe 1 night in a hotel. It will be very stressful, you flying for so many hours. Let's say if you're from the States, maybe you've basically travel for over 12 hours or for 24 hours waiting in airports to catch your other flight. In the UK now, there's no direct flight, so you might basically be going to Brussels or Air Morocco and basically having to wait at the airport for God knows 4, 5, 6 hours. Imagine how tired you are, not knowing exactly what you're going to meet once you landed in the Gambia. Arriving in the Gambia and then you being selected, saying that, oh, you have to spend an extra 2 nights in a hotel and also paying $2,500. This is approximately $2,500. Wait a minute. This is round about, let's say, this is round about £30. So for example, if you're basically traveling as a family with children, let's say a woman that has 3 kids, let's say a single parent that has 3 children, you're paying $2,500 for all 3 heads. That's basically $15,000. And then you also having to pay for yourself, that's 4 of you, that's almost $20,000. Imagine a parent that was not expecting to spend an extra $20,000 in a hotel. And once you've basically spent the night, and sometimes it can go up to 4 nights, it depends how quick your result actually come out. So if you're not basically budgeted for that, imagine how disturbing that will be. And not only that, but you've got family members that maybe you were planning to give money to. You need to think about the expenditure that you'll be spending while you're actually in the country. You need to think about the food and also other stuff. So this is absolutely not fair, as I think there should actually be a specific information out there for every single traveler to get hold of, because I don't think, I'm not sure how this information has been spreaded out, but it's not been spreaded out properly for people to be aware of it, unless you know a family member or a friend or someone that has traveled previously before you basically get to know what's going on in the Gambia. Unless you watch the Semester Avenue, then you will know the issues that has been happening at the airport. This is how I actually got to know a lot about this. So the reason why I'm actually saying this is that this can be very embarrassing, because when you get to the airport and you then find out, oh, you need to quarantine for 2 days. Oh my God, the first thing that will come in your head, no, I'm not doing it, you know? And you saying I'm not doing it because you have a 7-month-old baby and you're thinking, what? I have 3 kids and a 7-month-old baby, and I'm gonna basically quarantine for 2 nights in a hotel, which I wasn't planning to. Straight away, that will be the first thing that comes in your mind. Oh my God, this is not what I was planning. How comes no one told me? And then the other thing, you finding out that you're gonna be smuggled in a bus with maybe 40 or 50 other people, maybe on the same flight or maybe different flight. Because remember that you all actually maybe met at Brussels. It's a transit flight, so which means that in that aircraft there will be different people in different countries. And then you then finding out that, oh, not only the people from your country, but also you are going to be part of a very crowded bus with you and your 3 children and also a baby, let's say an infant that you have. That is another stress. Not only that, you also have your luggages to think about. Maybe that is your first time visiting the country, or you have families and friends, but you wanted to surprise them. And the fact that you have to pack all your luggages in that bus with you. Some people actually had their luggages in the bus. They don't even have a specific storage to basically put their luggages in, which was a very, very, very serious thing, because you are actually, so the government is actually saying, you quarantine for 2 days. Some of you will have to quarantine for 2 days due to the countries that you're coming from, and maybe we suspect that you have coronavirus, so which means, or the new variant, so which means that you will quarantine for certain amount of days. But then again, they don't know who and who actually has the virus. They are now packing people in one bus, like in an aircraft. If an aircraft basically accommodates 300 passengers, but due to COVID, they're actually accommodating 150, which means that half of what they actually accommodate, to basically make sure that they have those safety measures, 2 meters apart, or if the place is too tight, 1.5 meters. But the Gambian government did not actually think about that, the health ministry, because the coach, there's no space. Everyone is basically squeezed to make sure that that bus takes as many people as possible. And wait a minute, you are saying you're taking me, not for me to spend time with my family, but I have to go and spend time in a hotel with my family to stay away from people because it's the safety for the people. But then you are actually packing me with other people in a coach, in a bus, full with people, crowded. There's no ventilation. Even the windows are so tiny that there's no air coming in. People were saying it's too hot. People were saying that they're sweating. People were basically sitting next to each other. No, not even 1 meter distant, not even a quarter meter distant. There was no gap between people. These visitors were actually treated like animals. And I think animals are even treated better. And the government is saying they're doing this for the health and safety. Wait a minute, maybe if one person has coronavirus in that bus, which means all of them are going to end up having it. And one guy was actually fighting, saying, oh, he's not going to get into that bus. I see exactly where he was coming from, because he was saying he's not going to get into that bus because some people were from the States. He was, I think, from the Netherlands. People were from all over different countries, and all of them paid for this PCR test because they believe that's all they need to show when they get to the Gambia in order for them to go and meet their families. Some people have their own private homes that they wanted to go and quarantine. And I think if the government is actually bringing some sort of like a health and safety measure, they need to do it right. Like, if that was me, and I said, I'm going to basically protect my people in my country, what I would do, I definitely wouldn't do it like the health ministry is actually doing, because it's absolutely very, very wrong. The bus had no air conditioning. The bus, the windows were so tiny, and people were so crowded in there with their luggages. How about, if you're going to do that, you've basically selected, let's say the airport staff have selected the amount of people to go into the coach, yeah? Okay, fine. How about for those security to pack those passengers that are meant to go for quarantine, to put their luggages in the storage first, to make sure that, okay, their luggages are gone in the storage. They've got 50 seats in that bus. How about to make sure that they have 25 or 15 people on that bus? Because you can't have 50 people because you have 50 seats. Remember, there is an infection going around, and that's the main reason why you're stopping people to come in the country. But you do not care if one of those have it. And if that person is actually to be tested COVID and they have the new variant or the virus, they will then be basically taken to a health center to be treated. Maybe they even cut it in that bus. It's not fair. If the health ministry is going to do this, right, for example, if I was to do this, what I would actually do is that I would make sure that I put the right measures in place so that I'm actually thinking about the health and safety of these visitors coming in the country and also of my people. You come in the country, we know exactly how many people have actually entered the country. Every single person, you've basically shown your PCR test. Fine, we do the temperature check to make sure that you've got the right temperature to enter the country. Fine, go and enjoy your holiday, but also we will then advise you have to quarantine at your own home for 2 days. After 2 days, or maybe tomorrow, you need to basically go and take a COVID test and make sure that you have that test kept, because what will then happen is when you're traveling back to your home country, you need to show the certificate that to basically prove that you've taken the test. Or you have to basically, after 2 days of you quarantining, you need to basically go and do the test and take it somewhere to a specific office for it to get stamped to show that you've completed the test. You've basically done the COVID test after 2 days of you staying in the country, so that the government is aware that you've basically taken the test. It's been stamped. Before you leave the country, you basically leave that certificate with them to show them that when I arrive in the country 2 days after I took my test and it was scanned by the health ministry department or whatever. There is so many ways they can do this. Rather than punishing people, you might think 2,500 is small. But honestly, when you have a huge amount of family and you were not expecting it, it is not small. So these are the things that the government really needs to look into. You just can't basically say, okay, we are going to do this, and that's it. Are you actually thinking whether it's affecting others or not? You basically don't care, so you actually think it's okay. It's absolutely not right. The guy that was kicking off at the airport saying, oh, he's not going to get into the coach. He's not going to get into the coach because, oh, the coach is crowded, the bus is crowded, how many people? He was right. He had a point there. But at the end of the day, he had to get in the coach because he was offered to get in a taxi when he then suggested he wants to get in a taxi. But he didn't even want none of the securities to follow him. And then bang, what happens? He was denied that luxury that they basically offered him, and he was forced into the coach. And some people, the coach was so full that some people were standing. You know, it's just not right. It's absolutely not right. What is going on with our government? This is why people sit out there and laugh at Gambians, and we get offended. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, the truth hurts. But it's the fact. We really need to think. We need to analyze things before we actually implement them. We need to think whether this is the right measure to take before we actually put them in place. You know, no matter how much you talk, it's like there's still something missing. It's like you have not said enough for the government to listen. We put the government there, but they're not there for us. You know, our family members back home want to see us. But most of us are basically cancelling our flights because we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to put our life in danger. That's why we are paying more than £200 just to get the PCR test, just to make sure that people that we're getting on the flight with, all of them are safe. So if we're to get to Gambia and we don't know whether, oh, those other people have gotten their PCR test and we are basically packed all together to go in a hotel, it's not done. That's just not right. That's all I had for you guys today, and I just hope that the government gets to hear this message and maybe get the Ministry of Health to change these measures, because it's just not fair. It's absolutely not fair. Thank you so very much, guys, for tuning in today, and I truly appreciate you tuning in. And thank you so very much for Gambian Talents TV. We truly appreciate your hard work, especially Fat Samba. We truly appreciate your work. Continue doing it. No matter what these semesters do to you, you're doing a great job in the Gambia. Goodbye.